Hi, everybody. No webcam this time. This is the last cover page here for the final two turns of the scenario, the campaign in Russia, game War and Peace. Is it going to be a draw? No, it isn't going to be a draw. You're going to see the final action here between Napoleon and Russia, and we'll see who's going to win. Again, last two winter turns here. Hello, folks, and here we go. It is now winter. We are into November, and I've pulled back the camera so you can really see the entire panorama of what's going on, practically everything. I don't think you can see Wittgenstein up here. You might be able to see him. It's hard to see what I'm allowed to see in the camera due to the way the device, the tripod holds the camera. I don't see all the screen. But anyway, here's Napoleon's thread of units holding the key cities. Here's Smolensk. You can see in the Russian turn, they're going to try to pincer down towards Smolensk, and Bagration will probably make an effort to get to Warsaw, maybe take Brest-Litovsk, and help with the alliance rolls. Right now, the French are ahead 7-5 in the alliance game, and that's not good for the Russians. So they need to take back a couple of cities, maybe win a couple victories or a victory to balance that out. So, as it is the French turn, the most important thing that's going to happen, which we'll do here in a minute, is the attrition roll. But after that, it's going to be what to do about this stack of 18 points. That's threatening Smolensk, and they're in range of Smolensk if they can do a forced march. One option is to move Devout down here, but then that gives Bagration a chance to attack Napoleon. However, we could entrench with Napoleon, and that might be an option, so that Devout's units will be here, making it more difficult for them to do a forced march, especially unsupplied. However, it does look like, as we have another leader here, I believe, yeah, two good leaders, we should be able to trace a supply line from Morel from these cavalry. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. So by leaving a unit someplace, they'll be able to trace supply to Smolensk. So that's going to be the major threat that Napoleon needs to deal with. There's two ways to deal with it: block it and maneuver, or attack. Either one of them is risky. There's no guarantees. But I'm inclined to do a blocking maneuver this turn, force the Russians to attack. I'll get everything that I can to make some kind of a stand at Smolensk and to see what happens. Now, once again, I told you I would entrench with Napoleon, but I can't. Any kind of major city does not allow entrenchments. So it's kind of interesting. These major cities are actually harder to defend. When that's a little counterintuitive, isn't it? Okay, let's enough blathering. Let's get the attrition die roll done for the French. They're going to be suffering from Russia. They'll be suffering from winter. They will also gain from being a French satellite units. So it's going to be a net +1. Okay, this could be very, very bad. Russians are hoping for a high roll, and of course the French are hoping for, since I'm rooting for the French, we're looking for a low roll. It's not that low. It's actually a 5. Pretty much everywhere. Okay, let me take care of the attrition and movement and see where we're at. Okay, so that painful attrition cost 7 steps of losses, I think half of which were cavalry, 3 or 4. Schwarzenberg lost his cavalry here in Brest-Litovsk, so he's going to be moving to man his one step that he's got left over there. So that's it. Let's do the maneuvers now. Okay, so here's the situation after the French moves and forced marches. 10 strength points for Napoleon in Moscow. That's all he's got. Devout has 9 here. I move the cavalry up. The supply line is down to one thin line now. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 3, 1, 2, 3. Everything runs through Eugene. There's a stack of 3 or 4 there. Not got a lot in Smolensk again. Just one strength point. So Bagration should be able to get there. Barclay, sorry. Who's in charge over here? Do we want Barclay or do we want Kutuzov? Let's put Kutuzov in charge. He's the man. That's actually where the strength points are stacked up with anyway. Okay, well, it's looking a bit thin on the ground for Napoleon. He lost, as I said before, 7 steps. Let's see what happens to the Russians. That's the end of that turn. Oh, actually, one last thing. We need to roll the alliance roll. 7 to 5 in favor of Napoleon. Let's see what that's going to yield. 2. Now I got to check and see whether they subtract or add. 1 minute. Okay, Napoleon's subtracting 2. So he rolled a 0, which means he gets a strength point in Lublin to bolster Schwarzenberg. I almost said Schwarzenegger. That would have been funny. Schwarzenegger's ancestor on the battlefields of Napoleon. Okay, so that's it. It's time to do the Russian attrition roll. See what happens to them. Now they're going to be rolling a net +1 also. So let's check it out. Here we go. Oh, that doesn't count because it didn't go through the hoop. But it's the same roll. A 5, a 6. That's pretty severe. The Russians didn't need that. Hold on. Let's do this. Yeah, the Russians lost about 6 steps here. Not what they needed, but they still have enough to threaten things. Although because of that, I think Bagration, this is just going to be too tough a nut to crack. Let's go over here and fight the victor's guards. That ought to be fun. So Bagration will be heading up that way to do a fight there. So let's give that a shot. And then Kutuzov will loop around to have some supplies, and I think he'll try to take on Davout. So let's set this up. All right. So the Russians, they've got 3 attacks here. The first is a Cossack attack that will be out of supply. And what's this guy doing here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I'll just go over there to join those guys for a little bit of partying. Whoops. Guess he arrived drunk, didn't he? Okay. Whoops. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's do the unsupplied Cossack attack first. They're going to come in, and they'll be halved. They've got 2 to 1. All right. Relative morale, +1 for the French. The leadership's the same. So then it's just for the forest. So it's going to be a favorable result for the French. And so the French, they want to withdraw. Well, they're either going to win this or they're not, basically. So let's do the tactical matrix selections for this battle. Right, here we go. Russians are the green die, and they're the larger force. 1-on-1, charging both sides. Okay, so it's going to be a net in favor of the Russian. The smaller force is attacked in force is -1. So it's going to be a 1-to-1 chart and a -1 on the die. So, no, sorry, -2. 1 for the forest and and 1 for the morale difference. They rolled a 5, which I think is quite ideal, if I'm not mistaken. A 5 is the perfect result for the French, as the Russians must lose a step and withdraw. So that was quite fortuitous for them. That's exactly what they needed to roll to stay afloat, because they don't take any losses on a roll like that. And here's Constantine. Does not die. And neither does Bezier. All right, let's move on to the interesting fight here. We've got Victor. And Victor is sitting with 5 guards, so his morale's 3. Bagration has got 6 points, and his morale is 3. So it's a net +1 because of the leadership. Now the question for the French is, do they go into the fort or fight it out? They have a pretty good chance of surviving if they go into the fort, because then they'll be doubled. They'll be 10-6. So they'll probably have a 2-1 at that point if he tries to assault it. So, yeah, they'll take the risk. They'll go into the fort. Oh man, would that be something if the guards surrender? Here we go. Bagration is doing the attrition, or the kill roll. I think this is a wise move for the French. We'll see how wise it is. Use the green die. No, they did not break the siege, so that's that. Now we finally have the most important battle up here. Get that out of the way for a second. All right, these guys got whittled down by 3, so they're at 16-9. Let me verify that. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15. 15. That's right, they had 18. 15 to Devout, who's got 7. It's a 2-1. Devout has no cavalry. So I think this will be a good time for a cavalry charge. So Devout, does he want to withdraw? May not be a bad idea. He'll have to withdraw towards his supply line. Yeah, I think Devout will withdraw. And how smart are the Russians? Russians rolling high will know that he's withdrawing. And they do know, so they're either gonna charge. 1, 2, 3, they charge. 4, 5, envelop. And 6 is skirmish. So they charge. Okay, plus the cavalry charge. So they're gonna get a +3. They've got +1 for morale, +2 for the reds, +3, and the cavalry charge is a +4. It's as high as you can go. It's a +4. Could be pretty bad. I don't expect Devout to. He needs to get a little bit lucky here, because the odds are 15-7, 2-1, and a +4. 8. It's just a D1. Okay, they did lose, but it's only a D1. So with 7 points on a D1, what are the losses? Let's see, this trifold's a little hard to deal with, isn't it? 7 points, D1, 2 steps, one of which could be cavalry, but there is no cavalry. So they lose a step. And they lose 2 steps. So Devout kind of dodged a bullet there. Oh, he did have cavalry. That made it a 3-2, actually. Okay, I forgot about that cavalry. He should have been in there. So he had 8. (15-8). It's only a 3-2. With an 8. Well, that will change things, I believe. Yes. I will lose my cavalry because it was a cavalry charge. The Russians won't lose anything. Polish cavalry made their brave stand. Devout can then retreat to here, and there's no point in them. They can withdraw themselves towards Smolensk, to there. Actually, do they want to go there? It might be better. Okay. They can do that because they can, as long as they're within supply range, they can withdraw to any hex. Well, no, they have to withdraw closer to their supply source. I believe that's the rule. So if they want to do that, so they don't want to get closer, so they'll just stay there. All right, they can attack Smolensk from there at the moment, but it looks like Devout is going to be able to reinforce Smolensk. So that's interesting. Okay, that's the end of these battles. Let's do the losses. Devout and then Ney. Here's Devout. Nope, he's quite fine. He's having a shave while he was fighting that battle. And Ney, he's fine. The lion, Ney. And then Kutuzov, the old bulldog, missing an eye. He didn't miss another one. And who else is in there? Barclay and Benningsen. Barclay, he's all right. And Benningsen, he's all right. Okay, so that settles the match. That's the end of this turn. I think I'll probably run 2 turns together to end this. So coming up, it will be December. All right, so we come to grips now with the last turn. It's December. And the Alliance score is now 7-6 in favor of the French. So they will be rolling after the attrition roll first. Let's roll that. Here's the attrition. A 3, probably not too bad for Napoleon. And here's the Alliance phase. There's not going to be any point for the Russians to roll the Alliance phase because they won't have enough points, probably, unless the French lose a battle, but I don't think the French will give battle. All right, the Alliance, nope, there's no extra point for Schwarzenberg. So that settles that. All right. Let me do the attritions, then I'll move the French. All right, and there you see it. Here's the French move. Due to the gamey nature at the end of a scenario, there's no need for the French to maintain supply lines because when you're on defense, it doesn't affect you. So I've collected now 16 points under Napoleon in Smolensk. And over here, actually, Devout, whatever you want to call him, he's in charge over here. And Devout has, what's he got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Devout's got 10 strength points. Napoleon 16. So these guys can lift the siege and go 1, 2, 3 and possibly force march. What Kutuzov needs to do is try to force march across the river and attack, hopefully get some reinforcements, and defeat Napoleon at Smolensk. That could be an exciting finish. It does look like Warsaw is safe. There will be some reinforcements here, possibly. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I could attack Moscow, but 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're not going to be able to get across the river to do that realistically. So I think that's a non-starter. So let's let the Russians go and see what happens. First so the French are done. And yes, it's time for the inevitable mega attrition roll. Let's see if Krakatoa erupts or if it's a paradise in Russia in winter. It's a net +1 for the Russians. And they do well with a 3, so it's going to be pretty low losses, I believe. Yeah, only 1 strength point, worst case scenario, in their attacking forces. So let's remove that. Okay, it's going to be a quick turn here. We're going to lift the siege and leave them be. Bagration will come to 3 to there. Will he be able to get supplies, is the question. That could be a problem. Well, let's see if he makes the forced march. That could be yet another problem. He's not in supply for the forced march either. Unless... Oh, yes, he is. Supply can be traced this way. Okay, so here's the forced march. Critical forced march, as it will ascertain it's the success, even if the +2 for winter in Russia. So he will get to there. All right. And then Kutuzov, 1, 2, he will try to force march for 1. He'll have to leave a strength point behind to supply himself. Just leave it right there. Okay. And then Kutuzov, can he make it across the river? Oh, wait a second. Isn't there something about rivers being frozen? 1 minute. No, I was mistaken. That is lake and swamp hexes are treated as such. So not rivers. I guess it's a moving water. Okay, so now he's going to have to do this attrition. So let's see how he does. Not an attrition, excuse me, a forced march, 1 extra hex, and, oh no, he rolls the 6. He doesn't get across the river. This is a bad situation. All right, well, Constantine will try to get into the fight. He's got 1 Cossack. That's because he lost the battle for the supply lines there. Yeah, we're not going to try this battle. It's not going to be worth it. Probably should, since it's a desperate situation. But let's just play that this is the culminating battle, and it's going to be determined by them. So I guess it would be a good idea for Constantine to come here, not reinforce, but then if he reinforces, he'll be on the other side of the river, and that will at least negate the river for the second turn of combat. Just for the sake of it, Wittgenstein will come up here. He will besiege Riga. We'll do that attack first. A 3 does not succeed. Put the fort on there. Not even so sure he's allowed to besiege if he's unsupplied. I'm not sure. But it's not important for the purposes of this game. All right. This is how it's going to play out. the last final battle of Smolensk. So let's see what we've got. Napoleon's on his own. And is it? I think it's 16. 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. No, it's 16. This guy wasn't flipped over. Now, interestingly, though, Napoleon does not have the guard with him. So he won't be able to commit the guard. Okay. 16 there, but Kutuzov will be assaulting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus 5, 13. 13 to 16 is a 1-to-1. Leadership and morale balance out. So it's 5-to-5 for that. So the net effect is the river. The river, I think, is a 2 in favor of 2 for Napoleon. That's pretty significant. Yes, so what that means is Kutuzov better roll well on the tactical chart in order to outmaneuver Napoleon in this first round of combat. Let's just see what happens. The green die is Napoleon, of course. No, it's the Russians, of course. 2-to-2, so they're both enveloping. There's no net effect. So it's going to be a 1-to-1 minus 2, because they're the smaller force. Napoleon is. Okay. On the 1-to-1 chart, minus 2. This could end it if they roll really low. And they do. They roll a 2. And a 2 is a D3-1. The Russians are demoralized, and that's the end of the battle. With 13 strength points, let's just finish this off properly. Napoleon will lose 2, and Kutuzov will lose 5 strength points. And that is the end, and the Russians are conquered. Well done, Napoleon. You have succeeded. Just make sure the victory conditions don't require... Now they just have to control the cities. That's it. Victory for Napoleon. Okay, let's see if anybody dies in this massive battle. Nah, let's just see if Napoleon dies. That would be Pyrrhic. Now he rolled a 7. I don't really care who else dies. You know, it's the end of the scenario, right? Kutuzov is leading the charge. Does he die? He does not. Okay, so presumably all the rest of the guys will make it. Maybe somebody will get hurt. But that's the end. Kutuzov will have to withdraw. I'm not really sure that this is actually a victory condition for the actual collapse of Russia. It's just a victory condition for this game. Apparently, the designer of the scenario thought that it was impossible for the French to actually conquer Russia by taking, I think they have to take all the capitals. I'm not sure. We'll be reviewing the campaign game in an upcoming episode. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Please like and subscribe and come to see some more action. This isn't the only game I'll be playing. I'm a big fan of ASL. I might be doing some ASL stuff. There's also a couple other games I want to try. So I might do a noob introduction to some new games I've got. So we'll see. We'll have fun. Thanks a lot for listening.